One of the things that I have thought the most about and ran the most experiments with, especially over the last, 2 years or so, when it comes to pursuing change and pursuing Christ, is focus. And the more I study and experiment, the more I realize that focus is everything. You become what you focus on. It's just everything. Like you are the phrase "you are what you eat" is very true. What you put into yourself will be what you give out. Whether that's food, water, media, the people you surround yourself with, the activities that you find yourself doing on a day-to-day basis generally. Like, you become what you focus on. And by extension, your actions express your priorities. Lots of people may think that or maybe even feel like they're focusing on the areas that they want to be. But when they take a honest look at their calendar on a day-to-day basis, they might find that they're spending a lot less time doing the things they say are their number one, number two, number three priorities, and a lot more time doing the things that they probably don't really even think should be priorities. Because that's part of human nature and part of the world that we live in, especially, is that it's been re-engineered to distract us from what matters most, and keep us focused on things that make other people money, rather than things that truly matter to us. So, I just focus is so important. There's a couple quotes that I think about when it comes to focus. One is Steve Jobs just says, focus is just saying no. I think it's a little bit more complex than that, but I think Steve was on the right track. I think focus has a lot more to do with overall simplicity. And I think, like, focus as well is just doing something with the maximum level of intentionality that you can for usually an extended period of time. And like I think the intentionality there is the real key, in my opinion. Just because it's easy to, well, maybe not easy, but like, there are a lot of people who can do something good for a long time. But to relentlessly pursue anything requires a lot more intention in your thoughts and your focus, right? You have to be mentally engaged if you are going to relentlessly pursue something. And I would say you probably have to be pretty mentally engaged, like, almost the entire time. You can't have passive action. It has to be intentional action. And so there's that. There's also, I think, a lot of, just in understanding why focus is so important. if you don't already believe that or agree with that. There's a guy, one of the resources I've studied a lot, is this podcast called the Founders Podcast. It's phenomenal podcast on entrepreneurship, by David Senra. And he did an interview, I think it was with Chris Williamson a while back, where he said, if I could sum everything up into, or like everything he's read, like over 400 biographies, like over 100,000 pages of these words and ideas and life experiences of these ultra successful entrepreneurs into one word, it would be focus. And to couple that with another quote from Edwin Land, who is the founder of Polaroid, he said that my entire life has been spent trying to teach people that uninterrupted, intense concentration for hour after hour will bring out results in people they didn't know they had. There's two other quotes that I like to use in conjunction with those. One is from Charlie Munger, who is Warren Buffett's right-hand man. He just said, find a simple idea and take it seriously. And then another is from a guy named Dan Martell, who said, just like simple scales, complex fails. And so I think a lot of those phrases, are like originated from business context or entrepreneurial context. But I know they apply to life as a whole. And I think for me, what focus has looked like recently is being able to whittle down, or I guess just narrow my scope of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it into one sentence apiece, right? So one simple sentence apiece too, not like a sentence that's an entire paragraph. But I can sit here and honestly say, like, when people ask me, what do I want? I say, from a, overall life standpoint, is I want to change to become more like Jesus Christ, right? I am obsessed with changing to become more like Jesus Christ. Then when people ask the question like, oh, well, what do you do? Right? Like the career question or whatever. I say, I get paid to serve people and help bring them closer to Jesus Christ. And those are simple sentences that encapsulate what I'm doing and who I am. Now, those took me 2 years of just constant introspection, experimentation, and retooling and retooling of what I defined what I wanted, or how I defined what I wanted in life and what I was doing with my life. And just to help you guys to understand and give you an example, or an experiment that you can run of how you could potentially go about finding that focus for yourself, and being able to use that focus to change, because you can't reach a destination you don't know the location of, right? Like if you don't know what you want, then how are you supposed to know where you need to go to get what you want? And so this will hopefully help with that. When I realized that I had no clue what I wanted, I was working at a roofing company at the time in Arizona, and I took myself off of my salary position and went back to just being all commission. So I had more control over my time, more independence with my time, I guess. And I would do all my roofing work stuff that I needed to in the morning, and then I would go back to my house and I would change back into my pajamas and I would lay down in my bed and I would think, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? What does God want me to do? Who does Jesus want me to be? How does God want me to change? What improvements can I make? And I would be asking myself these questions, while I was just like laying down in my bed, and I had a notebook on my bedside table, with a pen and everything. And every time I feel like I had an answer worth writing down, I would go write it down, and then I'd go back to thinking, and I'd write more stuff down, go back to thinking, write more stuff down, and repeat that, for, hours a day, sometimes, until I had, a thought of like, oh, okay, I think this is what I want to do. And at the time, I thought I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I guess to a certain extent, I am. But I think my idea for how I wanted to be an entrepreneur has shifted significantly over the past 6 months or so. But back then I thought that I wanted to be an entrepreneur in the sense that more like how Steve Jobs is an entrepreneur or Alex Hormozi is an entrepreneur. And so I was trying a lot of different business ideas to see which of those I wanted to potentially pursue. And so I did that. I would go out and I would find the most fiscally efficient way that I could test these different business ideas that I had. All of them, in hindsight, I didn't realize this at the time. This is part of the introspective analysis that that these experiments and these thought experiments yielded, was this realization that everything that I was trying to do was just to give myself a way that I could get paid to serve people and help them become more like Jesus. That was the crux of all of the business ideas that I tried. And so I noticed that pattern over time. And so I would encourage each of you to do something like that, to find out what you want, what God wants for you, and what you feel like you should focus on. I promise you, it is worth the time, it is worth the effort to remove the distractions from your life. Delete your social media. You don't have to delete the accounts, but just delete it off your phones. Spend the time with yourself. Meek introspection is one of the most powerful tools to learn your identity as a son or daughter of God, and to feel that identity as a son or daughter of God. And I know a lot of people, one, are either scared to spend time with themselves, like in their own head, in their own thoughts, or two, just like let themselves get distracted, so much by the things of the world, because it really is so easy. There's an infinite number of distractions for anyone, at this point in society. Um, and yeah, it just been one of the greatest blessings in my life, to be able to, um, just turn the noise off. Um, I've really enjoyed the movie F1, the new one with, Brad Pitt. And, he says, he has one line, which is, what made me really like the movie, but I feel like his character also portrays this really well. He has a quote where he's talking about like the media and the press coverage and everything, and he tells, Joshua Pierce, the other racer guy, he's like, it's all just noise. It's all just noise. And that's what the vast majority of the things around us in life are. It's just noise. All the news is all just noise. Most of your friends' Instagram story updates or whatever posts, it's all just noise. Your favorite YouTube creator dropping a new video, it's just noise. The list goes on, right? Remove the noise. Remove the distractions. Simplify, as my good old buddy Henry David Thoreau said. Simplify, simplify, simplify. And that will bring the focus that your life deserves. You should be far more aggressive in simplification and seeking focus than you currently are. Everyone should be. It is such a powerful tool. And again, I just want to remind everyone of the Edwin Land quote, because I think it's just so powerful. People, like, we don't understand our own capacity. We don't know ourselves well enough. We just don't. Like, we don't know ourselves well enough to know what we are actually capable of. And so again, here it is. I've spent my entire life, keep in mind, so Edwin Land is the founder of Polaroid. He's like Steve Jobs' idol. He has like the third most patents of anyone in US history. Bro could literally invent things on demand. Like, the military called him up and said, hey, we need a fix for this machine or this gadget or whatever, some problem that they were having. And he says, okay, yeah, I'll be by tomorrow. And the military leader, whoever, was like, oh, so you've got a solution already in mind for it then? And he's like, no, but I'll have one by the time I get there. And he did. Like, this guy knew what focus was and knew how to utilize it. And so, just to help people understand, like, the kind of person who is dropping this truth bomb, like, it's not just something he said, it's something that he practiced and lived. And he gleaned this truth, from a life of focus. So again, my entire life has been spent trying to teach people that uninterrupted, intense concentration for hour after hour will bring out results in people they didn't know they had. That is the relentless pursuit of Christ. Is uninterrupted, intense concentration, hour after hour, figuring out what you can do to be more like him, trying to be more like him, thinking about changes that need to be made to be more like him, making the changes over and over and over again. So, focus is utter simplicity.